California's median home price just crossed $780,000, and statewide, only about 1 in 6 listings has taken a price cut. San Francisco is having bidding wars again. If you only read the headlines, you would think every seller in this state is holding all the cards. But here is what they are not telling you. In very specific California towns right now, sellers are slashing prices. And I do not mean the $5,000 cut Zillow emails you about like it is breaking news. I mean $50,000, $100,000. In one Sacramento suburb, the gap between what sellers are asking and what buyers are actually paying is more than $360,000. Homes are sitting for months, listings are getting quietly pulled after 30 days unsold. And on Reddit's California housing forums, homeowners and agents are describing the same shift from the ground. This is not a forecast. This is happening right now, in the summer of 2026. Starting with number 10. El Dorado Hills is one of the wealthiest suburbs in Northern California, a master-planned community of gated villages and golf courses in the hills east of Sacramento. During the pandemic, this is where Bay Area money landed, tech workers trading San Francisco condos for 5-bedroom homes in Serrano with cash left over. That pipeline has dried up, and the numbers it left behind are stunning. According to local listing data from March, the average active listing in El Dorado Hills is priced at just under $1.5 million. The average home actually going under contract is about $1.1 million. That is a gap of more than $360,000 between what sellers are asking and what buyers are willing to pay. Above $3.5 million, there is now almost 3 years' worth of inventory. Above $4 million, not a single home sold in 6 months. Luxury listings in Serrano priced above $1.75 million have sat for over 400 days on average. And by closing day, the average seller here has surrendered nearly $65,000 from the original asking price. A commenter on a California housing thread explained why the cuts come so slowly, and it is the psychology of this entire list. Most sellers could not take less if they wanted to, because if they sell low, how do they afford the next house? So the gap closes one painful reduction at a time. And if El Dorado Hills is a slow leak, the next market is a trap that already snapped shut. Riverside is the heart of the Inland Empire, and for the past year it has been a case study in what happens when the flippers show up late. Investors spent late 2025 buying distressed inventory here, betting on a quick rebound. Instead, they ran into a wall. According to Reventure's data, more than 25% of Riverside listings have taken a price cut, the highest share since 2018. For-sale inventory has climbed to roughly 14,000 homes, the highest level in more than 5 years. And the migration that built this market has simply stopped. Domestic migration into the Riverside area has flatlined at 0, the weakest reading since 2009. The median sale price in the city sits around $580,000, and Zillow shows home values across both Riverside and San Bernardino counties down about 1.5% over the past year. Sales volume is still running roughly 28% below 2019 levels. One resident of a gated Inland Empire community described watching 9 or 10 homes in his neighborhood list within a few months, and despite repeated price drops, none of them sold. That is what cutting into a buyer pool that is not refilling looks like. For a flipper carrying a high-interest loan, every month of that math hurts, and the fastest exit is a lower price. And the next city on this list hit the affordability wall even harder. Bakersfield has always been one of the most rate-sensitive housing markets in California, and in 2026, that sensitivity is on full display. The median sale price here is about $390,000, basically flat over the past year, while the median household income sits around $65,000. Run that through a mortgage calculator at today's roughly 6.5% rates, and the payment on a median home eats close to half of a median paycheck before groceries or gas. That is the ceiling, and Bakersfield buyers have hit it. Homes are now averaging 56 days on the market, and the pattern is nearly universal. A listing that has not moved by day 45 either takes a price cut or sits until the seller gets realistic. Layer on the long-term uncertainty hanging over Kern County's oil economy, which the state government is actively working to phase out, and you get buyers who negotiate everything and sellers slowly learning they have to let them. Bakersfield is not crashing off a cliff. It is a reality check happening in slow motion, one reduction at a time. But at least Bakersfield was always cheap. The next 2 towns were sold as the affordable alternative, and that pitch is falling apart. Vallejo and Fairfield sit along Interstate 80 in Solano County, the corridor that was marketed for a decade as the cheap Bay Area. Buy in Vallejo, Take the ferry to San Francisco, save $500,000. That pitch worked when rates were 3%. At 6.5%, the math breaks. Zillow now has the typical Vallejo home value at about $545,000, down 4.9% over the past year, one of the sharpest declines of any city in the Bay Area. Redfin's closed sales tell the same story, with the median down to around $515,000. Across all of Solano County, values are off about 5%, and roughly 1 in 4 Vallejo listings is taking a price drop. One local buyer summed it up on a Bay Area housing forum. Houses are sitting longer, getting fewer offers, and often selling below list. Rates are high, buyers are nervous, and it is a perfect storm for prices to drop. Here is what nobody says out loud. When the whole reason to buy in a town is the discount, the town has no pricing power the moment the discount stops covering the monthly payment. And further south, the same reversal is freezing an entire generation of first-time buyers. San Bernardino is the most affordable big city in Southern California, with a median sale price around $400,000. On paper, this should be where first-time buyers flood in. Instead, starter homes are sitting an average of 34 days and climbing, because the buyers this market depends on have gone quiet. The inland migration wave that carried San Bernardino through the pandemic has fully reversed, and Zillow shows county home values down about 1.5% over the past year. The problem is simple. A $400,000 house at today's rates means a total monthly payment near $3,000 once you add taxes and insurance. The first-time buyer who could stretch to that number is the same buyer now staying in a rental, waiting. Sellers who listed in the spring at aspirational prices are discovering there is nobody behind them in line, and the only lever left is price. When the cheapest big city in Southern California has to discount to find buyers, that tells you where the entire bottom rung of the ladder is standing. Quick pause and a pattern check before the top 5. Every town so far is missing the same character. The buyer who was supposed to show up, the transplant, the flipper, the first-timer, stopped showing up. In the top 5, that problem turns structural, and the numbers get genuinely hard to believe. If you are still watching a video about price cuts this far in, you are exactly who this channel is for, so subscribe. Stockton takes the number 5 spot because it has the clearest gap in California between what sellers want and what buyers are paying. Look at 3 sources side by side. Redfin says the median sale price in Stockton has fallen to about $415,000, down 4.6% in a year. Zillow has typical values down 3.7%, but Realtor.com shows the median listing price still sitting at $450,000, completely flat year over year. Read that again. Closed prices are falling, and asking prices have not moved an inch. That is the sound of sellers still living in 2022 while buyers negotiate in 2026, and the standoff gets settled, one price cut at a time, usually after 45 to 50 days of silence. Stockton was the ultimate escape hatch for Bay Area workers, the furthest ring of the commuter belt, and it attracted the most price-sensitive buyers in the region. Those buyers have no cushion at current rates. The flipped homes from the 2022 era are sitting longest because buyers can see the old purchase price online and they are done paying someone else's profit margin. Stockton is a staring contest, and the sellers are blinking first. But at least Stockton's problem can be fixed with a price. The next one cannot. Truckee and Grass Valley, up in the Sierra foothills and mountains, are dealing with something no price cut fully solves, and that is insurance. This region carries some of the highest concentrated wildfire exposure in the entire state. The California Fair Plan, the state's insurer of last resort, now holds more than $5 billion of exposure in Truckee alone, and over $7 billion in the Grass Valley and Nevada City area. Statewide, the Fair Plan has exploded from about 141,000 policies a decade ago to more than 420,000 today. And at one point, it was receiving close to 1,000 new applications every single day. For homeowners in Nevada County, annual premiums of $3,000 to $5,000 are now normal, and $8,000 is not unusual, often split across 2 separate policies, because the Fair Plan only covers fire, smoke, and lightning. Now put yourself in a buyer's shoes. You fall in love with a mountain home, then the insurance quote lands and adds $500 or $600 a month to a payment that was already stretched. This is the massive thread topic on California's forums right now, buyers walking away at the finish line because they cannot get affordable coverage. And the only tool sellers have to win them back is slashing the price to offset an insurance bill that resets every single year. In these mountains, the price cut is not really a discount. It is the market repricing risk in real time. And that same repricing is now reaching the high desert north of Los Angeles. Lancaster and Palmdale sit about 70 miles north of downtown Los Angeles in the Antelope Valley. And for 30 years they ran on a single promise: drive until you qualify. This was the last place in Los Angeles County where a working family could buy a new house, as long as they accepted a commute that runs 90 minutes or more each way. Remote work briefly made that trade-off disappear, and prices surged. Now return-to-office mandates have made the drive real again, and Redditors in the LA real estate threads have a name for what came next: the commuter's regret. Lancaster's median sale price has slipped to about $470,000, down 2.1% over the past year, with homes taking 47 days to sell. Palmdale is down about 1% to $520,000, with days on market stretching. And the migration data is the tell. More than 1 in 5 Palmdale home shoppers is now searching to leave the area entirely. The sellers cutting hardest bought at the 2022 peak, when the office was optional. When your home's entire value proposition is distance, and the buyer suddenly has to drive it 5 days a week, the price is the only thing left to negotiate. And if you are still here at number 3, you do the math before you make a move, so subscribe, because the top 2 include the strangest price cuts in America and the single worst housing market in the country. Los Angeles at number 2 is 2 stories stacked on top of each other, and both end in a price cut. Start at street level. On the west side, residents describe more and more listings taking $20,000 and $50,000 cuts and sitting longer. In the San Fernando Valley, homes are quietly vanishing off the market after 30 days unsold, pulled by sellers who, as one local put it, still want top dollar and will not budge. One Valley agent admitted she dropped a struggling listing hard, and it finally moved. In the San Gabriel Valley, sellers are skipping the cut and renting the home out instead, because they cannot sell lower and still afford their next place. One condo hunter watched a unit fall from $850,000 in February to $700,000. Yet a few miles away in South Pasadena and San Marino, it is cash buyers all day and homes gone in 2 weeks. Because in California, the school district is the moat. Now stack the second story on top. Measure ULA, the mansion tax. As of July 1st, any Los Angeles City home selling at $5.4 million or above pays 4% on the entire price. Sell at $5.39 million, you owe nothing extra. Sell $10,000 higher, you owe roughly $216,000. UCLA research found the tax made homes 55% less likely to sell above $5 million, and over 1,000 listings now hover near the thresholds. That is why sellers are slashing 6 figures on purpose, just to duck under the line. In Los Angeles, the price cut has become a survival skill at every price point. But the number 1 town is not cutting by strategy. It is cutting because it has no other option left. Number 1 is Oakland, and this is not a close call. According to Zillow data, Oakland's typical home value has fallen to about $716,000, and adjusted for inflation, that is a drop of 11.4% in a single year. More than $90,000 of value gone. That is the steepest decline of any city in America with more than 100,000 residents, tied with Cape Coral, Florida. Home values now sit roughly 28% below their 2022 peak. And the epicenter is the condo market. Downtown towers, where units sold for $700,000 at the peak, now carry asking prices below $450,000. And even at those prices, most of them are sitting more than 90 days. One home near Lake Merritt sold late last year at a $150,000 loss because the owner feared waiting would only make it worse. The forces stacking up here are relentless. HOA fees and building insurance keep climbing, so even a falling purchase price does not lower the monthly cost. Stricter building inspection requirements, adopted after the East Bay balcony collapse, have shrunk the condo buyer pool even further. And here is the twist that makes Oakland the defining story of this entire list. Directly across the bay, San Francisco home values are rising again on the back of the AI boom. And it just flipped back to a seller's market. The strongest and weakest major housing markets in America are staring at each other across the same body of water. Even inside Oakland, Hills neighborhoods like Rockridge still draw multiple offers while downtown sinks. This is not one market anymore. It is a city of micro-markets, and in half of them, the price cut is the only language buyers still respond to. So those are 10 California towns where sellers are slashing prices, and when you line them up, 3 forces explain almost everything. First, the affordability ceiling. At 6.5% rates, the monthly payment, not the sticker price, decides what sells, and towns priced beyond local incomes correct first. Second, risk is being repriced. Wildfire insurance in the Sierra foothills and transfer taxes in Los Angeles now show up directly in asking prices, and sellers are cutting to absorb costs that did not exist 5 years ago. Third, the great reversal. The commuters, transplants, and flippers who inflated the outer ring towns are heading back to the job centers, and that demand is not being replaced. And before anyone calls this a statewide crash, look at Orange County, where the median is 1.26 million, up almost 5%, with homes moving in 36 days at full asking price. This is not one California market, it is a split screen. One Redditor put it better than most economists. This is not a collapse, it is a correction in expectations. Sellers who adapt are doing fine. Sellers who do not are calling it a crash. If you are buying, these 10 markets are where patience pays, and buyers on the forums already wrote the playbook. Anything sitting past 60 days is usually mispriced, which means credits, concessions, and price cuts are on the table if you actually write the offer. And ignore the county median. What matters is days on market and the price cut share in your exact zip code. If you are selling in one of these towns, the clock has been ticking for a while, and pricing to today's market beats chasing it down month after month. And if you own and you are staying put, take a breath. Markets correct, and then they recover. Drop a comment and tell me what price cuts look like on your street right now. Subscribe if you want the real numbers behind American housing every single week. We will see you in the next one.